Hello again, welcome back. You're watching Everywoman. Now, you may remember Rebecca Lipkin, an Al Jazeera producer who developed a rare form of breast cancer and was brave enough to share with us her video diary chronicling her battle over the past year. This is a little reminder of some of her thoughts.
Cancer, it just has no boundaries. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're Jewish, if you're a Muslim, if you're a Hindu, if you're a Christian. It doesn't matter if you're an American. It doesn't matter if you're from the developed world, from the developing world. It affects everybody. And the thing is, I always used to think it was going to be somebody else. And now it's me.
Well, Rebecca is now officially in remission, which is fantastic news. And she joins us from London. Rebecca, you're looking fantastic. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty well, Julie. I mean, it's been a remarkable journey. Diagnosed the 6th of June, and to be here just a few months later, feeling really close to normal, or a new normal, is a really good feeling. So I am feeling very well. You
talk about it as a journey, a pretty scary journey, I would say. Has it changed the way you look at things, you feel about things?
I think it was more of a life and death struggle than I was willing to admit at times. You know, the things that seem momentously important, suddenly when you're done with this, don't. Things that would bother me a lot don't bother me that much anymore. It's just something that changes your perspective on life.
Well, Everywoman, of course, broadcast some of the video diaries that you recorded, and they were very, very moving, but also what stood out was just how upbeat you were and how much you used humour in that diary. Let's take a look at it.
I do have lots of gifts now, more gifts since the last time. My friends in Doha, yes, from the Everywoman program, have given me this one. She is lovely. I love her lips. And it is hard to resist this re-gifted treasure from Hawaii. Or here's a fantastic t-shirt ordered specifically for me from Germany. And I will say also, I am very pleased because there have been greetings from world leaders, and it has really meant a lot to me.
I particularly like the t-shirt there. Was humour your sort of survival technique?
You know, I think that humor gets me through life in general. It was pre-cancer, it's post-cancer as well. It's the way that I get through. When things would make me tense, I try to laugh. You know, Elvis Costello once said, "I used to be disgusted, now I try to be amused." I try to all the time.
Well, I know that you had a mastectomy, but the thing that really got to you was the chemotherapy that made you lose your hair. Why was losing your hair so difficult?
You know, I think that my hair was my best feature. I liked it more than anything, including my breasts, frankly. So I think that was part of it, that as it, you know, I remember going to sleep and I could actually hear in the morning this brittle sound of the hair coming off my scalp. And even knowing that it was going to come back still upset me.
Well, I'm glad you're getting your hair back, and it's fantastic news that you're in remission. What message would you give to women who are facing the same battle that you have had?
You know, I do believe that it's really important to keep this disease out in the open, to be able to disclose what you have, to leave aside all feelings of shame or weakness, and to tell people and explain to people how you're feeling, and to let them know that that you need to be around positivity and you need to be around hope, realistic hope. And one other thing I would say is that when you go to a doctor and when you go through the medical system, you have to be the master of your own medical destiny. You have to know what questions to ask. You have to take control of your life, because a doctor is overwhelmed with many patients and doesn't know what's going on unless you tell him or her.
Well, I think you're a wonderful inspiration to all cancer sufferers, and it's great to see you looking so healthy. Thank you very much indeed for talking to us. Now to the United States, where in the post-9/11 world, Muslim teenagers often feel isolated or stereotyped. Adolescent girls in particular struggle with their image as oppressed victims. Now, a new magazine has been launched especially for them. Muslim Girl magazine contains stories about female role models, a problem page, fashion and makeup tips, albeit for a conservative audience. Everywoman went to see what its readers thought of it.
Hey, baby, you're irresistible. Hey, baby, you're so powerful. Hey, baby.
I like this one about her saying, of course, there are always guys who will try, but I have to learn to say no creatively. I really like that.
Is that not in here?
No.
I think that would be really good.
I really like that. So I think that might fit. If you watched Little Mosque on the Prairie last night, you know what I'm talking about.
Usually we don't see women represented, let alone girls. There's very little representation of that. The emphasis when there is news about Muslims, it's usually about overseas violence and terrorism. So you don't see very much. But when you do see women included in the conversation, it's with an idea that women are generally oppressed in Muslim societies or subjugated, or that if a Muslim woman chooses to wear a headscarf, somehow that's a symbol of oppression. It's not a free choice that she's making. And what the girls are saying to us is they hate that. They hate being seen that way. That's not an accurate reflection of who they are.
This one. I love this one.
This one's nice.
The newest issue is a nice one because it's like how to wrap your hijab. But like, see this?
That's
Wrong.
not right, yeah. That's not
show your
hijab.
neck. That's not hijab.
It's a conflict because you don't know if you want a
define who you
magazine
are.
that's like Muslim Girl magazine, or do you want to fit in with the rest of the bunch? Do you want to be in Cosmopolitan?
The Western media focuses more on the generation before us.
Yeah.
It's either the little kids that are throwing stones, or it's the really old, oh, look, they're oppressed in their houses. They don't really focus on the younger generation, unless they were in a huge
American.
mob.
First, they don't focus on American Muslims. Because if you were to see American Muslims, you would fall in love with them. And second, they don't focus on the teenagers. It's always like, oh, we're trying to fit in.
So I grew up in the Bronx, first generation from Arab immigrants, and religion was not a big part of our lives. We just knew that we were Muslim, end of story. After 9/11, we were singled out. We became the Muslim women, and we were kind of caught off guard. When I started exploring my identity in high school, of course I didn't know anything about the Arab world or Arab history or Islamic history or anything like that. So it was a very Orientalist take. It's what I learned here about Arabs. And then you go to college, and then you sit on a class of Islamic Civ, and then you understand.
There is a strong current of steady presumption that Islam oppresses women. So it is enormously important, of course, for women, Muslim women, to get out there and give their sense of what is real from within their experience of Islam. These are the first generation, really, of American-born Muslim. They are creating what the new Islam. So they are taking the struggle to new places.
This is a young girl. She's 17, by the name of Zainab Azizi. She's a journalism intern and is planning to study journalism. Now, the way we dealt with this story, we do identify as American Muslims. We do identify with American values and the values of liberal democratic cultures. So the only way to tell that story is to take ownership of it and to participate in the process.
We know this country. We grew up here. We're born and raised, and we have reclaimed our identity or rediscovered our identity, and now we're ready to say it out in the open. I am Muslim. And we have Islam, and we have our American side, and I'm waiting to be that student that finally reaches out into the world and has an impact on society. I'm just waiting to grow up.
We're learning what it is to be Muslim. We're learning the education behind that. The first word that was revealed to the Prophet ﷺ was Iqra, read. Read in the name of your Lord. That's what we're doing. We're reading. We're understanding the world better. It's when you know what you have that sets anybody free. And to know that you have this power solely within you, that's what sets you free.
And finally, a look at some news making the headlines this week. Thousands of activists hit the streets of Washington to mark the 35th anniversary of Roe versus Wade, the Supreme Court landmark decision legalizing abortion in the United States in 1973. But today, the battle continues between opponents of abortion and those who advocate a woman's right to choose.
I believe that all those unborn children, they can't protest for themselves, so someone has to be the voice for the children. I think we need to be the voice.
People should be fully informed about their choices and make the choices that are right for them. And for a lot of women, abortion is the right choice, and so it should be legal and it should be safe.
Also making the news is Norway, where companies are facing closure for not putting more women at the top. Legislation passed 4 years ago requires firms to ensure at least 40% of their boardrooms are women. Critics say it's bad for business, but Norway does lead the field for the number of female directors. And some good news out of Saudi Arabia. Not only has the government decided that women can now stay in hotels on their own without a male guardian, but there are also plans to lift the ban on women driving. It comes after female protesters drove cars through Saudi in defiance of the ban, as we reported last year. And that's it from me. Do email your thoughts to us here at everywoman@aljazeera.net. Until next time, bye-bye.